Welcome back to Ancient Mysteries Decoded. My name is Zadeh, and today is the part 2 and the continue of the geomathematical research about Hurricane Hilary. So let's see what happened since yesterday. Bear with me. So this is the same map from the previous section, and as you can see, I added the letters and the name tags to make it easier for you to follow up. So let's follow up from yesterday's hurricane's path. So we know that the hurricane reached to spot 27 yesterday, which is between the spot C and spot D. And my prediction yesterday was that the hurricane will continue its path on the circle towards spot D, and around that area it will change its path. Either it will go inside the circle or outside the circle. And my guess was that it will move inside the circle, just as a random prediction. And that's why I drew two lines. These lines were specific. And I was guessing that if the hurricane moves inside this circle, it will probably move on one of these two lines. Now, I want you to pay attention to the purple arrow over there. It's in the intersection between the blue line and the orange line. And I will show you why this place is very special. So to simplify the map, I'm going to remove some of these extra lines to make it easier to see the details. So let's begin surprising you. If I draw a line from the big center all the way to the southeastern corner of the Nevada Triangle, which is the Las Vegas city, this purple line will pass the purple arrow. That could have been random. But if I draw a line from spot D all the way to southwestern corner of the Utah Triangle, it will exactly pass the same spot, which tells me this spot is not a random place. Since this spot is between Nevada Triangle and the Utah Triangle, I'm gonna stop here and explain a little bit about these two triangles to make you familiar with the characteristics of these places. I have completely explained about these places in my book, Shah's Mystic Lines and Areas, Part 1, and you can refer to that book to get the details. So people say that the triangle between Fresno, Las Vegas, and Reno is mystic. And this is the map of it. But after a lot of research, I found out that the northern corner of this triangle should be 50 miles higher to a spot which is shown on this map. And like any other triangles, this triangle has a center which is called NVTC, which means Nevada Triangle Center. And as I said in the previous part, there's one unique circle that passes all three corners of this triangle, which is called the circumcircle of the triangle, and it has a center which is called the circumcenter of this circle. And you can see that these two centers are apart from each other. One is inside the triangle, the other one is outside of the triangle. And in a few minutes, I will show you why these spots are crucial and very important in this research. Anyways, let's go to the Utah Triangle. I came up with this triangle recently based on the other mysterious triangles in the United States. I mean the Nevada Triangle, Lake Michigan Triangle, and the Bridgewater Triangle. And like any other triangles, this triangle has a center which is shown on the map, and I called it UTTC, which means Utah Triangle Center. And this triangle, like the other ones, has a circle and a circumcenter. The center is called UTTCC, means Utah Triangle Circumcenter. And the amazing note here is that this center is very close to the infamous Skinwalker Ranch. This area is well known for its amazing paranormal activities, which has been recorded by scientists and researchers who were investigating in that area. And they have a lot of questions, and one of their main questions is that why all these things are happening in that area. This research shows the interconnections between many mysterious places and some natural events like hurricanes to that place. This is done for the first time. I haven't seen any researchers similar to my research, which I'm showing you today. Anyways, one interesting thing is that despite the Nevada Triangle, this triangle is different. As you can see, both of the centers are inside the triangle and very close to each other. And another fact here is that the western edge of these triangles, both of them, are exactly towards the north. This is fascinating, and I'm sure that you have a lot of questions in your head, and that's why I refer you to the book, because most of the details are written over there for you to read. Okay, so now let me explain to you what happened since yesterday. So I looked at the map from NOAA, and I found out that the hurricane moved and passed the spot D, and it reached to spot 29. I don't know what happened to spot 28, but anyways, it traveled from spot 27 to 28, and then went to 29, and then went to spot 30. This proves that my theory and my hypothesis was correct. I predicted that as soon as hurricane reaches spot D, it will change its path. It will either go inside the circle or it will go outside the circle. And obviously, it did not go inside the circle. But the spot D was a turning point that changed the path of the hurricane while it was moving on the circle. Yeah, and that's how I learn, by test and error. Anyways, let's continue to see what's happening. Here, amazingly, you can see that the hurricane is going towards the Nevada Triangle. And let me remove the red lines that I drew so you can see it much more clearer. Now you can see how this is moving towards the center of the triangle. Now it's hard to believe this is random. So we can predict that the hurricane is going towards the center of the triangle, or it might be going towards the center of the circle of the Nevada Triangle. Here, there might be other probabilities. I mean, the hurricane might turn left or right. So who knows? But let me assure you that I have something very, very interesting to bring up right now. Remember the spot over there, the purple spot? I named it as center number 2 because it's a center of a circle that amazingly passes spot D, spot 29, spot 30, the center of the Nevada Triangle, and the center of the Utah Triangle. Isn't that amazing? This yellow circle has a radius of about 335 miles, and it seems like it is pushing away the hurricane from its original path on the big circle. This is amazing. But more amazing is that if you draw a line from spot D, spot 29, spot 30, and the center of the circle of the Nevada Triangle to the center of the yellow triangle, they all have the same distances from the center, and they all have same distances from each other, and the internal angle is the same, and they create a right angle. But overall, what excites me is that the timing of the hurricane when it reaches at spot 29 and reaches at spot 30 is measured by the universal time, and it matches with this, which tells me somehow there is a relation between the timing of these hurricanes and the path of the hurricanes and the specific locations of these spots and Nevada Triangle, Bermuda Triangle, and everything. And that's why this research and the perspective of it is a multidisciplinary, and it requires a lot of knowledge and a lot of patience to sit down and analyze all these spots and find interconnections between them. Regardless of its difficulty, it's very fun and exciting. And to make you happy, I'm going to show you some more of the things that I found. And to do so, I need to take you back to the previous part. I mean, in the section that I was talking about the hurricane moving a little bit inside and a little bit outside of the path that it was traveling on the circle. Let me move out the additional lines, I mean the green line and the circle, and put the letters A, B, and C to explain it much more easier for you. In that time, I explained that it looks like there was an additional force that when the hurricane reached spot A and traveled all the way to spot B, that force pushed the hurricane to go inside the circle a little bit. And when the hurricane was moving from spot B to spot C, a force was pushing this hurricane to move a little bit outside of the circle. Now, the next image shows you how this works. And you can see the yellow circle, and this circle somehow pushes the hurricane to move outside of the main circle and the main path that it was traveling. And amazingly, the center of the circle, which I put a purple dot over there and I named it center 3, is shown on the map, and the radius of the circle is the same as the previous one, which means 335 miles. And by looking at them together, you can see the relation between them. So just in case you have some questions, let me open this more. So it looks like there exists a big force at the center of a big center over there. And that force somehow pushes the hurricane to move on the circumference of the circle. And while the hurricane is moving on that path, there exists two more forces at the center number 2 and center number 3 that they are a little bit smaller, but they're strong enough to a little bit move and push the hurricane away from its original path, which was on the big circle. And if I'm right, there should be some mathematical relation between these spots, I mean these three forces. And now I'm going to show you some amazing things. The first thing is that the diameter and the radius of these two yellow circles are the same. This is the first thing. And let me find some relations between their distances. The distance between the centers of these two circles is about 1,000 miles. And the distance between the center number 3 and the big center is about 1,080 miles. I can just round it up to 1,100 miles. And the distance between the big center and the center number 2 is about 1,200 miles. This is almost a perfect equilateral triangle, which means same distances from each other and almost 60 degrees internal angles. And to see the big picture, let me zoom out a little bit so you can see how it works. I'm sure if you put a little bit of time and do some of your own research, you will find amazing relationships additionally. Anyways, let me show you an example. If you draw a line from spot A all the way to spot D, it will pass the center of the circle number 3. And the same thing, if you draw a line from spot C all the way to the top of the Utah triangle, it will pass the center of the circle number 2. And let me give you 2 more facts before I close for this section. The first thing is that if you remember, the radius of these 2 circles were about 335 miles each, which are the same. In other words, their diameters is about 670 miles, roughly about 700 miles. Now, there is a relationship between the diameter of these 2 yellow circles and the big circle. About 4 of these small yellow circles will fit into the diameter of the big circle. In other words, the radius of the big circle is twice the diameter of these yellow circles, which proves that the sizes of these circles are also playing a specific geometric role with each other. And to finish this conversation for today is the last fact that I want to show you, and that is the size of this black triangle compared to the size of the Bermuda Triangle. And believe it or not, they're almost identical. They're both equilateral triangles with the internal angles of about 60 degrees, and each of those borders are about 1,000 miles roughly. So what do you think? Do you still think that the wind is the responsible fact for the hurricanes? Do you still think that the Bermuda Triangle and the Nevada Triangle and the Utah Triangle are myths and these are just stories? Do you think that there's no other forces involved to create the paths of the hurricanes? I hope you enjoyed this section. I'm gonna wait until the end of the hurricane to give my final insights about it. And until then, you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.